Yo, 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 no maniacs. Welcome into the Nomad Live, all bears all the time, with a new contributor to the show, Coach Mike Yarborough. Coach Mike is here with us. He's a high school coach. Matter of fact, I won't even describe who he is. I'll let him do that for himself. But you guys, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. And as promised, we're going to start providing you guys with more content, and a little bit more often as we move along into 2024. We don't use Nomad Live as much as we used to, but we're going to start using it on a regular basis. You guys, we're going to start doing some. You really need to set your notification bell right now. I'm telling you guys right now because we're in kind of limbo about when and where to actually start doing some more daytime content and maybe some mid-afternoon type content or after work content. Like around this time might be a good time to start doing some stuff, but I'm up in the air, and we are up in the air about what time to do some of the shows. And so like I said, you guys, it's a good time if you haven't hit your notification bell, good time to go ahead and do that. And definitely, if you haven't subscribed, do that. Like the show, please do that for us, and it really helps us and tells YouTube that we're about something and you guys like the content. Well, with that said, Samo is going to join us here in a minute. He's on his way home from doing something with his family, and he's going to be popping in anytime now. But the show is all about the fact that we have a new interview coming up with defensive coordinator, assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, Eric Washington, who I got excited about immediately when I found out what he does and his lineage, which I'm gonna ask Coach Mike because he actually did more homework than I did on the subject, and he knows more about this guy's lineage and how he's connected to who out here in the coaching ranks, and I really was impressed with how much he knew as fast as he did, because I just recently, not long ago, asked him to join the show today, and he got pretty on it pretty quickly, and it's pretty impressive, man. So, Coach, if you could introduce yourself, and guys, make sure you guys give Coach Mike a good warm welcome, man. Welcome to the show. Treat him like family. But go ahead, Coach Mike. Tell him about yourself.
I appreciate it, Nomad. I appreciate you having me on the show. So I'm from Omaha, Nebraska area. Born and raised in Illinois. Always been a Chicago Bears fan. I actually coach out here, coach high school varsity football, linebackers, and JV defense coordinator out here. And I appreciate everyone on the chat welcoming me and everything. And I'm glad to be here. My first podcast ever. So I'm going to see if I can do my best on here. So.
Hey, Mike, you're gonna be fine, man. So everybody, he prefers to be called Mike. He doesn't want to be called Coach Mike, so we'll call him Mike. And so you're gonna be fine, man. This is easy money right here, man. So what I found interesting was Coach Mike. Mike, here I go calling you Coach again.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Mike he found some things out that I didn't even know about Eric Washington, who I'm very excited about. So if you don't mind, just give him that little detail you were telling me in the green room about, his connections and his lineage and what he's done so far.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll probably be looking off and on. I got some notes over here. So other than his college ranks and everything, he started with the Bears in 2008 under Lovie Smith. I know 2008 and 2009. He was an assistant D-line coach under who I always say is probably the best D-line coach around, Rod Marinelli. So he learned from the best.
Right.
Then he took over after Marinelli left and everything. So in Chicago, he got to coach guys like Alex Brown, Tommy Harris, Izzy Adonijay, and Julius Peppers. And then he moved over to Carolina from 2011 to 2019 under Ron Rivera. So all these guys are coming out of about around the same group of coaches and everything. So some big guys this is one stat that I seen that really gets me excited with how he coached in Carolina, 2012 and 2013. Charles Johnson and Greg Hardy were two guys, one on the right side defensive end, one on the left side defensive end. And 2012, Greg Hardy had 11 sacks and Charles Johnson had 12 and a half sacks. And 2013, Greg Hardy had 15 sacks and Charles Johnson had 11. So I look at that and it just gets me excited because, I mean, he must do a very good job with those defensive ends getting, double-digit sacks, So one's, we always talk about, is this person going to benefit the other, the other person and everything. Well, that it looks like he gets the most out of every single one of them and everything. So, then he moved on to Buffalo from 2020 to now. And I mean, the guy that, stands out to me. I've always been a fan of him coming out of college. That could possibly, I mean, if he does end up being our defense coordinator, I mean, I know we're looking for an edge, probably a little bit of a vet, but AJ Espinosa is one that comes to my mind that might be a little bit cheaper, but then also possibly drafting one as well. So
yeah, I got a list of guys that are up on maybe up for grabs in free agency. Man, they got a bunch. In fact, they got so many. Buffalo has so many. I don't know what their season is going to look like, what their drafts, what kind of draft capital they have. But man, they got some hard choices to make. Man, I don't know that team is going to look like it did in the playoffs this year against Patrick Mahomes and that group. Man, I don't know how they keep all of this. Man, there's key core guys in this list, and we'll go over them here in a little bit. See, the thing I like about it is not only his lineage, and we'll get into his lineage in just 1 second, but the fact that if you hire him, there are so many good pieces on the Buffalo Bills roster on the defense that are up for grabs. I mean, you can pretty much almost replenish your defensive line and secondary. Some of the guys that are on lower tier part of your depth chart. I mean, you can really replenish them with some really solid players, man. So, but we'll get into that in a second. But about his lineage, though, Mike, it's a lot of people, and you give Tony Dungy credit for his coaching tree. You give him all the credit in the world. But a lot of people don't know Monty Kiffin ran that defense when they got it done down there. And Monty Kiffin it's Tony Dungy, then there's Monty Kiffin, and everybody falls beneath that. The fact that he's been around that coaching tree and in relation to what we do here and what we do right now in Chicago with the type of defense that we run is very encouraging. And to see where he's actually graduated that defense, you can say, as far as adding on layers to the defense, getting it more multiple, making the fronts more hybrid, much more hybrid than the Bears fronts are right now. You get probably 80% 4-man down with fingers in the dirt here in Chicago right now, as of right now with Flus running the defense. With him, you can see a whole bunch of edge rushers standing up, and it looks more 3-4-ish at times than it does a 4-3. So it's the way they get multiple and just it's a pure hybrid defense, and they're up at the top of the league in pressures and getting sacks. I mean, it's an impressive defense. Some people say the defense sucks. I don't think so. I think the middle of their defense suffered this year because, and I mean the middle, I mean by the second layer, the linebackers. Them letting Tremaine Edmonds go was a big shot to them in that defensive core, man. Not having that length in that secondary, I mean, in the middle of the field, and a defense made like this, probably made them look worse as a unit than they probably should have. And so it just goes to show you someone like Tremaine Edmonds, just his physical stature changes so much in the middle of the field, just the length alone. You're a linebackers coach. Mike, just someone with that kind of length, 6'5", 6'6" guy with arms like that, you're gonna disrupt a whole lot in the middle of the field. That that's mostly the quarterback's throwing lanes. So them not having him, you want to talk about linebackers. I think we got the right guy in Tremaine Edmonds, but I believe this: I believe that coach brings something that Eberflus does not bring to the table. So the aggressiveness, the way to get multiple hybrid in your fronts and keep the offensive line guessing as to what's going to happen right here, because that's the best thing you can do is make the offensive line kind of guess about what's coming. And so what I saw in that defense that he ran was the fact that it's just nothing is promised. Pieces are going to move around, and we didn't do enough of that this year. So it was pretty regular, if you ask me, that when Flus's defense came out, you pretty much know what to expect. It just didn't have a lot of layers or a lot of aggression to it on the level that I would be approving of. So, Coach, if you want to add to that, I just think that coach, his style of calling a defense is a welcome to me as far as what we have with Flus. What do you think about that?
Oh, I totally agree. When you're talking about moving people around and everything, I am huge. I am huge on having a pretty good athletic defensive line. I don't have to, one of the things I don't have to do then is I don't have to send a lot of pressures. I know one of my buddies, he's big on why are we blitzing at these times? Why aren't we blitzing at these times? Well, the thing is, if you're getting to the football with stunting linemen, I mean, now you got your guys back in pass coverage that you don't need to put pressure on. I mean, yeah, you're going to send pressure, but that's what I love with Washington. Like you were saying, like you don't know what you're going to get. Like, am I going to have a 3-man line? Am I going to have a 4-man line? Yeah, it's going to come down to running a 4-man front, but one of those edge guys are probably, could be a stand-up guy. I mean, look at, they brought Von Miller in. I mean, everyone looked at him and like, why, he's not going to fit this 4-man front. Well, if you're hybrid and you can get moving around, now you're going to have pass rushers off the side. Like I said, stunt him, bring him from the side and come up, stun him to the A gap or whatnot. Cause I mean, you get strong, versatile, athletic guys like that. I mean, it's amazing. Like I said, I mean, and that's what Flus has put together right now is a great defensive line in my opinion. And like you said, Tremaine Edmonds is great back there. You got the long lengthiness of him. TJ Edwards, everyone. I mean, do I miss Roquan? Of course, but I think you watch how TJ Edwards play this year. I'm like, you got to be able to say like TJ Edwards did fantastic this year.
Should have been in the Pro Bowl, man.
He should have, yeah. I mean, a lot of our guys looking at the numbers and everything is amazing to me. Like how some of these players got snubbed for playoffs and everything. So, no, I totally agree with you with that. I mean, I think that defensive line is. I mean, if Washington's their man, I'm excited. Like I said, I am a big stunt heavy type of coach. I love moving those big guys around. I know they like moving around when they can. And then putting less pressure from your having to send a linebacker, all the time or whatever. So on those blitz heavy teams and everything.
Yeah, I mean, here's when you have a piece like Tremaine Edmonds, when you can get multiple, when you can get hybrid on the 4 guys in front of him, whether it's 4 guys down, whether it's 2 guys down, 2 up, whatever it is, you want to stunt, you want to twist, any way you can be aggressive, it eventually is going to play in the benefit of those linebackers back, especially a long one, because the quarterback's going to have a tendency to feel pressed, and he's going to want to throw a ball that really isn't there, but he feels like he has to throw a ball, and you got that long linebacker out there like that. And to be quite honest with you, man, about the linebacker situation, Roquan Smith, there was no bigger fan in Chicago of Roquan Smith than me. And I can admit to myself, even though he went to Baltimore and became a Pro Bowler, we made the absolute right move. The absolute right move. Samuel just popped in. Guys, he just came into the house, man. He jumped in right when he could, man. Appreciate you for coming, Samuel. But I'm gonna feed you right quick in a second. But having if you have a more aggressive front that has ways to get multiple and really provide pressure and different pressure packages from different techniques. I mean, I can go on and on about the ways that it'll benefit your defense, whether it's the second level or the third level. But the fact that you got somebody that's willing to be, it's perfect to me. A guy like Eric Washington that has the kind of mind that Eberflus doesn't. He's willing to be more aggressive than Eberflus is, and so to me, it's a yin and a yang, and you kind of need that for you. Got it's good to have a conservative mind, but it's good to also have someone that's very aggressive and willing to be forward. And so that's what I see in Eric Washington. I think he's the exact dynamic that we need as far as what we need to do as far as the defensive front goes. And I think the second and third level is just gonna. You think they ate this year? We bring a guy like that onto the coaching staff, and as aggressive as he is, man, they can do almost double the numbers that they did this year, and they did well. But Samuel just joined the show, man. What's going on, Samuel? What's happening?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Mike?
Appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
All right. Yeah, just getting in from work, man. Thought I'd jump on for a second. You talking about Eric Washington?
Yeah, Coach Washington, man.
Yeah, I did a little research into him as well. Sounds like a great hire to me, man. What it sounds like is the Bears are in agreement with with me as far as the defensive line coaching being below par for the past couple years and needing some help in that area because we got now have two defensive line coaches who are candidates to now be the defensive coordinator. And two strong candidates, might I add, like guys who are producing some pretty good pass rushers. I really like what I'm hearing from Eric Washington, being a former Bears coach himself, coming from Northwestern to start his career as coaching the defensive line. Just like his philosophies a lot, man, as far as he understands what it is to rush the passer, man, and it not all being about one guy. Like he understands that the pressure has to surround the quarterback. He understands that, you know, guys are going to free each other up if you're maintaining your gap and staying gap sound and just being disciplined, man. And I think I really like his demeanor as well. And he sounds like a good leader from the way that the players talk about him. So sounds like a really strong candidate to me, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I said, I would love for them to get some help coaching these defensive linemen. They do have a couple of free agents, and Leonard Floyd. Maybe he's a guy that can come back next year. And I know AJ Espinosa is another guy I think is a free agent.
I'm about to feed you. I was just about to feed you, man. You jumped me a little bit, but that's all good because there's a bunch of names, man. And I was just telling Mike before you came on here. I was looking at the list of their potential free agents and pending free agents. Now, I don't know that they're going to be able to put together the team that they had this year and be able to perform at the level they performed at. If they lose, there's going to be a number of them that's going to be gone. They have no choice. They can't sign them all back. But there's going to be a number of guys, man. But who they choose to keep and who they, leverage as, okay, these are the guys we got to have back, and these are the guys we got to let hit free agency and see what they get, is going to be interesting. Now, before I give you his first name, and I'll let everybody speak on it, how do you feel about a 1-year flyer for Micah Hyde, who's 33?
I'm gonna pass on that, man. Like I said, we're a young team right now. If it were me, we're a young team. I would want to maintain that youth, man. I would rather develop a rookie safety, man. I think Michael Hyde has lost a step. He's still good, but he's definitely lost a step. I would just rather, keep adding young talent. Someone younger who's going to be here a little bit longer. If I felt like we were a safety away from becoming a championship team, then maybe I would consider it. But nah, not for me.
What if they think? What if they think he's a perfect guy to bring in if we can't re-sign Bojack just for a year?
I mean, hey, if they think that, like, if they have evaluated him and they feel like he's a step above Bojack? Because right now I'm thinking him and Bojack are about the same right now.
Oh,
I think he plays a little bit more disciplined brand of football than Eddie does, to be
man, you
honest.
know
That's
Micah
one
Hyde's a
thing
tackler, Samo. You know Micah
yeah,
Hyde.
that's what I mean. As far
He's
as
better than
positionally,
Bojack.
yeah, he plays.
Sam, hey Sam, stand strong.
Oh, Bojack is out of here. If it's up to me, Bojack is gone. That's not a question at all, Chris. You already know it. But yeah, he's definitely better than Bojack at this point in time. But hey, man, I just don't see him being the what we need. I think there's some other young free agents out there that I would prefer to have other than Mike Hyde right now.
So Coach Mike, now there's a ongoing little thing between Samo and the rest of us. He thinks Bojack is washed. You need to get rid of him. But we keep going back and forth about the veteran presence, man. The veteran presence that you need in every group, every group meeting room, whatever we know that you got to have that veteran presence in every room. So to me, that's the value of hiring a coach like this with this many pieces sitting on the free agent market. That's the value of hiring a coach like that. The value is knowing that if you bring this guy in and let him coach your defense, this is the kind of talent he can string along with him and lure along with him to add value to your team. And so I look at every team around the league, but they have so many names that they are in a serious conundrum. We're going to go through a bunch of them, but what do you think about Micah Hyde?
I mean, I agree. We got to have the veteran presence in there. A little bit more aggressive person, on the field. I am also, I'm not a huge fan of Bojack. I just think his play is soft, I guess to say. Is he good in with coverages and stuff? Yes, but he's not like you want that safety to come down and hit as well. I mean, that's why in my opinion, I would rather have someone back there, that's going to come down and do that. And, I turn back to Nomad and say, getting a veteran guy in there and being someone like Micah Hyde, and then bringing a rookie in behind him, that let him help him out a little bit.
Look at Samuel's screen.
No, because we keep talking about Bojack's leadership, and I'm gonna tell you something about leadership, man. Leadership, you have to be able to hold people accountable if you're a leader on the team, right? How can he hold someone accountable for missing tackles and not coming up to make tackles? How can he hold someone accountable for being in the places where they're supposed to be, being on your landmarks and coverage? If you're not doing that, if we consistently going in the film room and saying, "Oh, Bojack, you got to be in place. You're out of cut. You're out of place right here, and that's why you got beat over the top." Oh, Bojack, you got to come up and make that tackle. And then you want Bojack to go turn around to a younger player and say, "Hey, you supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that." It don't work like that. Leadership doesn't work like that, and you know it, man. Like a guy who's not doing his job can't tell you that you're not doing your job. And it's about effort too. It's like Bojack is a veteran right now, and I don't see him putting forth the effort. And he looks soft, like Mike said, when he's coming up to tackle. And then now he's also in coverage, missing assignments, it looks like. So now, and he's a step slower as well. So it's just like, I think Bojack has had his best days as a Bear, and now it's time to move on.
All I'm saying is every team needs that teammate. Everybody go over their house for a barbecue, man. That's all I'm saying is every team needs that teammate. Hey, everybody come over to Bojack crib, man. I'm barbecuing. That might sound like some misdemeanor shit to most people, but that's the kind of stuff that glues teams together and keeps teams glued together. Stuff like that. Little stuff like that is not to be dismissed. I understand what y'all mean about his performance on the field. I'm not saying that Eddie Jackson needs to stay here and be the starter. He can stay here and be a replacement. But here's another guy on that Bills roster that's up for grabs, and probably the reason why he doesn't get the amount of minutes that he deserves is because he has such a good player in front of him, and Micah Hyde. It's a guy by the name of Taylor Rapp, 26 years old, 6 foot 208. Samo, what do you think?
Taylor Rapp, safety. I'm not familiar with him, but hey, if he's decent, I got to check him out. I'm not familiar with Taylor Rapp. I like the size though. I like those measurables.
Oh, Chris, you got something, Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what else glues the team together besides barbecue is tackling. That helps too. If you're gonna bring him back, he's got to be as a starter, and it's got to be for a lot less money. So just let Eddie go, and I say you replace him with the money you're going to save that you replace him. I'd go out and try to sign Antoine Winfield Jr. because the dude is a playmaker, and that's what you need is a playmaker. He stays healthy. He doesn't have an extensive injury history. He's still young. I think we're going to save $14 million by cutting Eddie. I think we only take a $3 or $4 million cap hit, and from what I've been seeing, we might be able to sign him for that money that we save, and that's going to be a huge upgrade. You can still draft a safety late to add as your depth. I'd say grab if they can get the draft capital after they trade down. I'd look at adding 2 safeties because we talked about Brisker and his history of injuries. If you can add 2 safeties, to groom, that would be ideal. But man, if you're gonna swing to replace Eddie, man, you might as well swing for the best. And I think Antoine Winfield, if he hits the market, I think he's the guy you go for.
So I think Coach, you just hear me out on this. I believe that if they can, I believe they would love to get Micah Hyde, but the truth is, when a defensive coordinator is coming over, and I'm just thinking logically as a defensive coordinator and what he might be thinking. Okay, let's just say the Bears organization front office has their eyes on Micah Hyde for a year, 1 year deal, 1 year flyer, just to keep us going. We're still going to draft the guy, but we need that leadership in the locker room. Okay, we may not be able to get him for the right dollar amount. But if I'm the defensive coordinator from another team that's been coaching these guys up, and I kind of have my eyes on who's developing and who's going to be really good, and it's only 26, I think it's Taylor Rapp. I think the Buffalo is going to have to try to find a way to get him signed for the right amount of money to keep other teams from prying and trying to get Taylor Rapp, but because Taylor Rapp plays some pretty good damn football. Whenever he's in there, he's just been kept off the field for the most part because of stellar play by Micah Hyde. And so if there's an opportunity for a defensive back, especially a safety, if we're in the market for a safety and he's in that building with the Bears front office and getting ready to get hired, he's going to tell them, if you can get Micah, but this is the guy you might want to look at long term, that would be Taylor Rapp. And because every time he gets in the game, he's out there making plays. So I just think the opportunities are endless for this roster, Mike. I don't know what you know about Taylor Rapp or Mike. I know you know about Micah Hyde, but Taylor Rapp, I'm telling you guys, is a nice study. If you guys got some time to really sit down and really look at some guys in free agency or possible free agents, that'd be a nice study for you. Taylor Rapp plays some damn good football.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too. I mean, if he can come in and lead, I'm not much. I don't know much on Rapp, but one of the big things is bring a guy in that knows how Coach Washington coaches, that knows his type of system. He's that captain back there for the back DBs and everything. If Rapp can do it, I mean, and you want to stay young, yeah, go after Rapp. I mean, shoot for that. But I mean, I see that because I mean, not to bump over to the offense, but like with the Waldron hire. I mean, what's not best if you need a center, go after the leader of the offensive line and go after Seattle center that can lead that offensive line on what he does. So I think it's just that, I mean, I think Micah Hyde would be good as a leadership role back there, and be able to help an up and coming rookie or rookies coming up.
Okay, so Micah Hyde, guys, just do just, if you don't really know, not Micah Hyde, but Taylor Rapp. If you're not familiar with Taylor Rapp, as a I'll just give you that advice, man. He's a good little homework assignment. I think you guys might be pretty pleased with what you see. Here's the next name, Samo, and his measurables are about 6'3", 265 ish. Shaq Lawson, 29, getting out of his I guess his first contract, I would imagine. At 29, he's getting out of that first contract, and he's looking for his next one. I think he's longer. He's longer as far as his length goes than it 6'3", 265 says. He looks more 6'4", 6'5 with his length. And he looks more 270-ish to me, 275, but I could be stretching it. But I think Shaq Lawson is a maybe, I don't know if you want to, depending on how much money you want to spend in free agency, I think he's one of those guys that you let hit the market and see what people are offering him, seeing what his value is, and then you go back to the drawing board and see if it's a guy that, if we hire that coach, if he's a guy that you might be interested in bringing here. How much do you value Shaq Lawson? I think he's a pretty good 4-3 defensive end. I wouldn't say great, but I think he's a good, nice depth piece.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep in mind too, the Bills are in salary cap trouble right now. They got some big contracts out there, and quite a few guys. You got Vaughn, you got quarterback, you got Diggs. I think they're over the cap right now. And they have a lot of free agents. And Shaq Lawson is a guy I thought was going to be really good when he came out of college, man. I think he come from Clemson or something, I want to say. Yeah, I think he went to Clemson. I thought he was going to come in and just tear the league up. I thought he was going to be pretty good, but he hasn't done that, man, throughout his career. I think the most sacks he's probably had is like 7 in 1 year. Not really a lot of sack production from him. I think he's only like less than 30 for his career or something. But they're in salary cap hell, and he does know the system, so he might be a guy that comes in and on a 1 year deal or so, and get an opportunity to be a backup here and as a part of the rotation. But if I'm picking from the guys, it's going to be the other guy that I'm sure you'll talk about in a second.
What do you think about? Excuse me. What do you think about Shaq Lawson, Coach? I mean, Mike.
So I think Shaq, for some of the games that I've seen him, he's, as we were talking about, being versatile on the, you can stand him up, you can, because I know he's been in that. I know we call it 3-4 or 4-3, whatever. To me, it's all the same. I mean, it's just how you line them up and everything. So, I think he'd be a good addition. I mean, I was a big fan of him coming out of Clemson. I mean, back then, and then maybe he just needs to get that. Maybe he needs a different, maybe change of scenery, and get out there. But I mean, he's the longer type. I think he would fit that mold that they're looking for.
Okay. What about? I think he would be the second guy as far as the edge rushers go. But your guy, let's just start with you, Coach. I'll keep calling you Coach, man. I can't help it.
You're fine.
Just naturally, when I hear a coach, I gotta honor that, man. But AJ Espinoza, he is. Let me look at these measurables here, so I'm very accurate as I can be. 6'6", 260 pounds. See, now when I look at him on tape, he looks about 260, but that length is for real. And you know what? I'll let you go, Coach, because I did it again. You feel pretty good about AJ Espinoza because of what you think might be his price value.
Yeah, I really do. It all depends on how they want to attack free agency. I've always been a person. I mean, there's certain positions. I mean, we don't want to fall into the category to where we're overpaying a defensive line like the Washington Commanders did. I mean, that thing. I mean, I know I see a lot of what the Chase Youngs and bringing them back. I mean, we'll probably end up paying big time having him and Sweat back over here and everything. But I think AJ is another one that another. I've loved him coming out of Iowa, especially. I mean, being an Illinois fan. I mean, it's he was amazing coming out of Iowa. He was another one that I thought would have been a good pickup. But I mean, I think when he came out, I think we were in that 3-4 type defense, and to me, I think he's more of a hand in the dirt guy. I don't think he's going to be more stand up type of guy. So I think he can benefit Sweat or in and the opposite side as well. So I love Ray J. I mean, if we don't want to overspend at that spot, I think that'd be a really good one to bring along. And I know someone in the chat said his sacks are ascending. So yeah, Barrelismo said his sacks are ascending. I mean, so maybe that's where Coach Washington brings him in, and we get that Hardy and Johnson duo again. With the one on each side, and they're both getting double-digit sacks. I mean,
go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, I'm with Coach. Like you said, he is an ascending player, and that's the type of player you want to sign. This is the guy I would sign. He fits the mold at 6'6", 260. That Flus likes the long, bigger guys. Him playing on the opposite side of Sweat, I think, is only going to make him better. Von Miller's been in and out of the lineup, so if Sweat is commanding more attention, I think this is the guy who's going to consistently be his one-on-ones. He's become pretty much a pretty good pass rusher over the past couple years. I think he's had I think I saw 6.5 sacks the past 2 years. And he's in a similar situation to Montez Sweat. Like I was saying about Sweat. Sweat was ascending and becoming a better as a pass rusher and a better overall player. And I think that, he hasn't peaked yet. So he's just, starting to get to the top. And those are the type of players that I would like to have on the team, man.
So I think what I think about AJ Epineza is he is absolutely ascending. If you're looking at him from when he came out of Iowa, I believe it was Iowa, right? And when you're looking at him then, the only thing I didn't like about AJ Epineza was he was a little bit stiff coming around the corner. Just a little bit, just kind of straighten the back, but it's not hampered him. He's still been able to turn that corner one way or the other and make hay at getting after the quarterback. I love his speed and his speed to power, and he's starting to become pretty technical. And because that defense that they run in Buffalo is so hybrid, you just don't know what kind of what he's going to do coming off the edge when he's putting his hands in the dirt. I've seen him jump back and go back into coverage after having his hands in the dirt. I've seen him do the same thing going off of a 2-point stance. He's one of those guys. He's like a cat out there, man. You don't really know exactly what you're getting from him, and I think he's constantly stuffing tools in his bag right now. So I think ascending was the right word to use when it comes to AJ Epineza, man. I just every time I looked at the videos, I'm just like, damn, I didn't see him do that the season before. Now he's doing it. Like, he's adding stuff to his bag, and I think it's a good time if you can't go and get that other premier edge rusher. I think that's the kind of guy that you can, if you bring a coach in like this, and he's got the MO of this guy's work ethic and how he's improving in practice and what he's adding to his repertoire, who would know it better than Eric Washington right now? You know what I'm saying? So to me, if my eyes are telling me the truth, I think he's a player on the come up, man. He really is, man. And I like some of these other big names, Brian Burns, Chase Young. I love it. But if you can get a guy that's budding on being I mean, he's productive as hell. That's number one. He's productive as hell. If you can get a guy that's as productive and can bring similar or better numbers, then and you can get it for cheaper, of course you're going to do that as a smart business person. So I would not be surprised to see if they don't re-sign that guy. I think they're going to need to. If I'm correct, they're going to need to give that guy some money. It just depends on how much he's going to cost on the open market. So I just love to see what happens with him. The next name, and this coach had to be integral in bringing this guy on board. It's one of our former players, Leonard Floyd, 6'5", 240. I have seen Leonard Floyd become a man on the football field since he left Chicago. And I'm just proud of him. And I think, to me, it's the perfect story. Leonard Floyd is not going to cost you a whole lot of money. He's going to cost you a little bit, but he's not going to cost you a lot. But I think he's a perfect redemption story for someone who came to Chicago with such heralded expectations, and to leave here the way he did and develop and have Bears fans kind of like wish. I think it's a perfect story, Samuel. I would love to see him back in the Bears uniform.
Yeah, I would too. Like you say, it's a great story, man. The career comes back full circle to the team that he drafted him, man. He can come lead us back to the playoffs, man. Like that'll be really good. A really good story. He's developed a lot now since he's left LA and now over in Buffalo with the Bills. Yeah, I think he still has a lot of juice left in the tank too. So not going to cost you a lot either. So that's also a good thing, but it's definitely going to cost the Bears. But these are the bargain signings, I would say, as far as edge rushers, because edge rushers are that's a premium position, and they're always overpaid. The good thing about it is this year there's a lot of them hitting the free agent market, so someone's going to have to take a little less of money. So, and if I think it's going to end up being a guy like Leonard Floyd. So, yeah, I would be with it.
What about you, Coach? Oh, Mike, I did it again. I got to get off of that.
I'm going to put Coach on my name there for you. Maybe when I come on, I can actually be the fan coach on there. So maybe
that's the football player in me. Once I know you're a coach, everybody's coach.
No, I always loved Leonard Floyd. He's, I think he got brought in. I mean, with the wrong at the wrong time. I don't know if he necessarily got utilized correctly. I mean, he did have. I know what they were trying to do. Probably was trying to help out Khalil Mack at the time, bringing him in. I was just looking at some of his when we were talking about him. Looking at some of his times here. I mean, he's did pretty well. I mean, he just with the time with Chicago. I mean, he was really low on sacks, and then he moves on and starts off with the Rams, and he's double digits, 10.5, 9.5, 9, and then he's back at 10.5 again. So I think you pair him up with that, you give him that defensive that guy who can coach him right. I'm not saying he wasn't coached right, necessarily with the Bears, but you put him around someone like that and can utilize his abilities to how they need to be utilized. I mean, that you're going to get production out of them. You're going to see what they have. So,
yeah, you know what, Muck the general is. He said Floyd is over 30. Yeah, but you look at that guy on the field. I think you almost be cheating his value by looking at what his age is. I think it's I mean, the fact is that he is over 30, Muck, and you are right. I mean, that's to be considered. But I don't think Leonard Floyd would be coming in here looking for a 4 or 5 year deal. I think he'd be coming in here on a 1 or 2 year deal. And the way he's playing right now, it's like his game is just matured. To be quite frank with you, if I'm looking at Leonard Floyd and I'm being honest, I'm thinking he's pretty much at his apex right now. He's at the top of his game at 30 years old. And I think he can stay at the top of his game for at least a couple more years, for minimal for a couple more years. I think he can go probably another 3-4 years, maybe. But I think looking at his age, I think, when you're in contract negotiations and when it comes to stuff like that, and you're sitting in the room with agents and lawyers and stuff like that, they get to use that kind of stuff against you. But as a fan, as you are, Muck, I don't see 30 when I'm looking at that guy on the field. I don't know about you, but I do not see 30. I don't know about you, Sam. Do you see 30 when you see that dude play?
Nah, man, he's kept himself in relatively good shape, man, and he has a body type that's gonna be playing up until he still has at least 4 or 5 more years in this league that he can still play. Because he because of his body type, man, he's gonna hold up a little bit longer than if he were a big offensive lineman or a big guy in the middle of the defensive line that's one of those D tackles or something. Then maybe I would consider age a little bit more. But guys like him and Daniil Hunter, who's also close to 30, those guys are going to hold up a little bit longer. I think they still got at least 3 good years left in them, if not more.
All right. Here's an interesting name, man. Daquan Jones. Daquan Jones is, let's see, he is 32 years old. He's 6'4", 320 pounds. Been a very, very important piece to what Buffalo's done for a while. And he's probably going to be one of those guys that they cannot re-sign. They can't re-sign him because they got younger guys like Tim Settle, who we'll talk about here in a minute. Just younger guys that really need more playing time, and he's just going to be less expensive. But Daquan Jones, to me, is if you bring in a guy that's going to help get everybody assimilated to what the calls are with this kind of coordinator and what his brand is, which is going to be a little bit different than what Flus does, right? It's going to be some calls in there. There's going to be some techniques. It's going to be some schemes in there up front that they aren't familiar with. Again, like we were talking about the old coordinator the other day, about it's always going to be guys that come over with them that's going to demonstrate, put on a demo. And it's important to bring a veteran that knows what to do into your scheme to really show people what you want out of them. And so to me, you would peg a guy like this to really bring along and sign a free agency. Even though he's 32, I think this is the kind of veteran you would want to sign if you want to get everybody up to speed and up to snuff with what you're trying to do in your scheme. I think Daquan Jones is a guy that you got to consider signing, Samuel.
I don't know if I don't know. I know he's a good player. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't think they will do it just because of his age and his position right now. Because we already have our one tech signed in Billings. Just because they already invested financially in Billings, I think they would pass on a guy like Daquan. If he were playing the three tech, it would be a different story. But to invest more capital in a one tech. I think that they would definitely bring him in if he were out there as a free agency hanging around. They're definitely going to bring him in, bring him into camp. If he makes the team, is your guess or mine? That's what I say.
What do you think, Mike? I got it right that time.
Yeah. I don't know too much on Daquan. I mean, even though his uncle is actually an assistant principal here at the school I coach at. So
Wow.
that's how I know. That's how I know just Daquan as a person, but never met him in person or anything. But I mean, I look at it, and as I look at Washington's Coach Washington's background, it seems like with all his with his background and everything, my biggest thing is I think he's a defensive end edge rusher guy. Like if you look at the numbers and everything that he produces or the players produce under him, I think we have the guys in the middle right now. Like I said with Billings, Dexter. I don't know if they'll keep like Chris Jones or I don't know how much longer he's going to be around and everything. But Um, I mean, I really think the biggest part, you know, and if you want to bring the guy in like Samo said here, and let him battle for a spot, and maybe he does make it, and you know, and they want, you know, maybe they want to be a little defensive tackle heavy, and you know, do more subbing or whatnot. I mean, if he'd be a decent one to do. I mean, I just think, you know, I think Coach Washington, if he got the position, I mean, his biggest thing is going to be those edges, you know, and you know he's going to be coming off the edge. Or, yeah, did I say Chris Jones? I'm sorry. Yeah,
We understood.
maybe it's one I wish we could have had him, but I mean, but other than that,
It could happen. It could happen. He's a
but
free
like
agent.
even to go back real quick, and I don't mean to go back, but I was just looking at some stuff on Leonard Floyd. I'm looking at his numbers on the number of snaps with the Rams. I mean, you're at 916, 932, 868, all with 9.5 sacks. Then you go to Buffalo, and I noticed he is down almost 400 snaps at 542 and still has 10.5 sacks.
Wow.
That's great. That means,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
You know, so I mean, yeah, I mean 30, 31. I mean, it seems like he still has it in the tank. So
Yep.
No doubt about that. I mean,
He was the primary rusher for most of the year too, because Von Miller's been out. So
yeah,
he's been, so that's a lot. That says a lot. And then the fact that he's only had 400 snaps means that his body is preserved a little bit too. So a lot of good points there.
I think it's almost crazy not to consider. I thought that they should have in the this last off season, but you know they went another way. But here's a guy that I wanted last off season that I was sitting there, and this is before we had Billings, and I knew that they needed to fill the one tech up. And this was a prime guy, and he's only 31 years old, but he's with the Bills, and they probably not going to be able to sign him again. And it's Jordan Phillips, 6'6", 341 pounds. He's the epitome of what they want as far as size, length, and strength at one tech to three tech. He can play either. He can play either. You can put him anywhere along that line. I wouldn't put him on the edge too much, but I'm sure you can get a snap or two out of him if you get the proper coverage. I mean, in proper line alignment. But you can. I thought that he would have been the perfect person. Maybe they did go after him. He didn't come at the right dollar amount, and Billings did. I don't know, but I always thought that he was the perfect guy for this defense, man. And I don't think they're going to be able to keep him here. And if it's not Daquan Jones, there's going to be someone along that front, whether it's a D tackle, an edge rusher, somebody is going to come over here with that guy. I don't know who, but you know, all the names that I've mentioned, I would not be mad at. He's one in particular I would circle with a star and then circle the star. Him, Epineza, and probably Daquan Jones and Leonard Floyd. Those would be the guys that I would highlight and say, you know what, it's a good possibility one or two of those guys would be a Bear. So what do you think about Jordan Phillips, Samuel?
Yeah, more of a space eater than a pass rusher, but he is good. I think he's been pretty consistent throughout his career. Uh, I just don't know because of the age. I feel the same way I feel about Daquan with him. You know, if we can get one of those guys to come in and kind of fight for a position on the defensive line, then that would be great. Like you said, they can echo the coach's message in the defensive line room and add some leadership for the younger defensive tackles that we have. And so, yeah, I would sign them for that. But to think that I'm gonna get a lot of production out of them, maybe not. I really would hope that the Bears are looking to, if they're gonna sign someone legit, like I think that it should be like a good free tech. If you're looking to sign someone, it should be maybe in that they don't have that guy there in Buffalo unless they release Ed Oliver or something like that. Then they don't have the guy that I think we need. So, but these guys are just like depth pieces, if anything. So that's how I feel about him.
What do you say, Mike?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I really agree with Samo right there. Um, he's a gap filler. I mean, he's going to he probably be able to take on those double teams and do what you need. If you know, if he was someone to bring on, I mean, you could end up giving those different looks. I mean, like he likes to do right now. If you want to utilize that one tech more and do like an under front or something like that in that. So, I mean, it all depends what what his plans are, what Flus is going to allow him to do. Um, that's the big question.
Yep.
I think as a defensive caller, it's going to be hard to turn it over. But I think, and we talked before, I think.
do you think he should? He's got to. That's the hardest thing for a defensive guy to do is give up the play calling duties and give up control of what he does.
I think he should. I think Flus needs to turn into. And you might think I'm dumb on this, but he needs to start turning into. And I told you this before when we chatted earlier. Is a Mike Tomlin or a John Harbaugh. Manage the game. Let your guy. You're bringing in guys. Okay, now you got an offensive guy that has the experience. Now you got him. Okay, let him coach the offense. Don't tell him to let up. Don't tell him to take his foot off the gas. Tell him to keep on pushing. And you bring in a guy, with and you may have to coach him up a little bit, saying, hey, this is kind of what I want. If but go ahead and sprinkle your stuff in as well, and give him the opportunity. You're bringing him in for a reason. Don't just bring him in to be a figurehead. Bring him in to help you be better. You worry about managing the game. Because that's one thing. That's one thing. I think a lot of people are looking at. Oh yeah, Flus is a great defensive play caller. Yes, head coach. I don't know. And I think he brings those guys in and turns them loose, like Tomlin does, like Harbaugh does, and he just manages the football game. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot more.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, Chris. I'm gonna hand it to you in just a second, but I gotta speak to what he just said because, just being willing to give someone autonomy and to, at the end of the day, I think he's right about you need to take a step up in your presence and be like the management of all instead of the coach of. You know what I mean? Give the guy you hired the autonomy to throw the darts that he chooses. You can give suggestions once in a while. Hey, I wish you would have thought about maybe doing this on this down and distance. Once in a while is fine. But to be in there and be overly involved because you don't like a player or two here and there, I think that comes to and somehow I got a strong feeling that that's going to be the hardest thing in the world for that guy is to not do that. But I think if you're going to bring a coach in who I think is disqualified, I think you have to leave that man alone, stay out of his room, go in there when you give him notification. Oh, hey, I'm gonna come in there when you guys are talking about this, and I just want to come in there and give you 2 cents. But to be just coming up in there and just telling people what to do, I don't think that's the right move. I think he needs to play an outside role and just manage, and be a game time manager, and just like you said, be a CEO. And we've been talking about that here on the show. Just be a CEO and trust guys to do what you hired them to do. But go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to address the defensive tackle and bring in. I don't want to bring in anybody that's going to take away snaps from Dexter. We just invested in Dexter, and also who was our other guy? Jack Pickens. And so we saw what Dexter was becoming. I think Dexter in 2 years will be one of the top interior defensive tackles in the league. And he's definitely trending that way now. So I don't want to bring in anybody that's going to take snaps away from him. So, a lot of guys, I've seen a lot of guys talking about bringing in Christian Wilkins and whatnot. And that money is definitely well spent somewhere else because you bring in a guy through the draft and build the interior that way because our interior looks pretty good with Dexter right now, Billings. So if we bring in somebody that
It's
we can
about
groom
depth
up,
too, Chris. It's about depth too.
well, and that's I know it is, but I think a couple of guys you're talking about would probably with the money, it's about value too. So the money that you're going to spend to bring in a veteran, some of those names would probably cost you more. I don't think you're going to be able to get those guys at a veteran minimum. So I just don't want to take anything away from Dexter. I think Dexter's going to be a superstar, or he's going to be a star. So that is all.
In the proper hands, Dexter is still developing, and that's why I think it's important to get a coach like Coach Washington or Coach Williams, Tim Williams, the other defensive line coach that came in here, because yes, Dexter was playing better towards the end of the season, especially on passing downs, but on run downs, I saw regression towards the end of the year where he was getting pushed off the ball a little bit. So I think for him, he just needs to continue to develop. Yes, I absolutely agree. I don't want to take a lot of snaps away from him, but I do feel like we do need a veteran three tech in there. We have to have a veteran in there that's going to show him the way. Someone who's been in the league for a while, who understands the position. I think he would benefit from that. I'm not saying bring anyone here on a long term contract, but a 2-year contract, and maybe that person becomes a part of a rotation after a year or two if Dexter is now ready to be the starter, and things work out that way. As far as the coaching thing goes, though, I think Mike is right about you know, Luce has to learn how to be a head coach, man. He has not mastered that, and I think him giving up the play calling duties makes the job more attractive to either of these guys. So if he's going to hold on to it, then I don't think that guys really want to come here to sit back and watch Luce call the plays. Like that's not attractive to anyone. If you want to get the best guy, then you're gonna have to, have some trust and just give him some guidance and and trust his process and work through that and work together to build the defense in the mode that you both want it to be. But as far as him just remaining playing calling plays and messing up in game time situations. Like we can't have that this year. I think he'll be out of the door if he were to do that. So I think he has to master becoming a head coach this year. Like I think that's going to be important for Luce.
Hey, Mike. I want to share an experience that I had, and I tell people on the show all the time. Everybody's like, "Hey, Nomad, you ought to coach, man." I don't want to be a coach. I know what kind of lifestyle they live. I mean, the ones that like in on different levels is different. High school is different than college. College is different than the NFL. You get certain levels of you know time alone. The higher up you go, the less and less time I know for sure because I know him at every level. This particular friend of mine, Mike, was a high school coach, and he asked me to come out and work with the DBs. He was having a problem with the DBs, right? And so I was just, I was reluctant, but I was just like, all right, man, you know what? I'm just tired of you calling me. I'm gonna go out here and see what's going on. And I go out here and I get to work on them and start tightening them up. And he asked me to come into the into the group rooms and position rooms and offensive coordinator meetings and all that kind of stuff. And I had to tell him, and I was just and we only reason I got away with it is because we're friends. I was like, dog, you got to lay off, man. You got to lay off. You hired these guys. You got these guys under you to coach. Let them coach, man. Get out of that room. Stay out of that room, and don't go in there unless you've been invited or unless you gave that man notice. But just bust up in there and start telling people what to do. And you're doing this wrong and that wrong, man. You just undermining that guy. We got into a big old thing about it. You know what I mean? And it was, it took a couple of months, 2-3 months before we'd even talk. But he called me and he told me, he was like, man, you're right, man. I need to dial it back and just be more of an overseer. I said, yeah, man. That's the best way to go about doing the job. You the head coach. You got coordinators for both your your position. I mean, you got the guys you need. You just got to fall back and let them grow. They got to grow just like your players. And so to me, the hardest thing is watching Flus, who's been doing that for so long, have to turn that over and just try not to be involved in it. I swear, if I can call Flus on the phone, every message every day would be like, just keep your ass out of there. Don't go in there. Let them do what they do, man, and just leave it where it is. And so I see you jumped in there, Chris. You got some thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to call Flus, I got his number. Oh, and also I wanted to say it's time for a station break.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff and Nomad at night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
A to the men. Amen. Amen. If you came into this show and you didn't hit the like button, man, you're bogus. You should have at least did that. It's like wiping your feet on the rug before you come in somebody's house. At least hit the like button if you like the content. But subscribe if you like the content that we brought today and any other content that we provided thus far. Do that for us, man. Ask your friends, ask your family, and that includes you, Mike. Please ask your family and ask your friends to subscribe to the network, even if they don't like it. Just ask them to jump on in there and do us that favor.
And guys, don't forget to hit your notification buttons because we're going to be putting out more content. We're going to be doing sometimes daily podcasts and pop-up podcasts. And so you won't know about it because it's going to set outside our normal schedule. Please hit your notifications button after you subscribe so you know when we're going to be putting out new content.
That is right. And before I know we can get long-winded, especially me when it gets to a certain subject that gets particularly it gets warm inside of me when I get to talking about my guys and when they coaching. I love what they do, but I know how coaches operate, man, and I know that
it gets
coaching,
warm. Did you say it gets warm?
Man, I love my boys, man. I love y'all, man. Y'all my boys though. Too, man. But it's
don't
everybody
warm
get passionate, Chris, man. Everybody get passionate, man. But you gotta know it's love in the middle of that, man. It's love in the middle of that.
Warm love.
That's right, man. But hey, just knowing what Flus, I know he's got to go through. He's got to hire that guy. He's got to hire a guy. If they wouldn't be in this long in the hiring process, if they weren't intent on signing the defensive coordinator, Flus, I don't think we'll be calling the plays. Samuel, what do you think?
No, I don't think he'll call plays. I think that it'll benefit him not to call plays because it'll allow him to focus on being a head coach, like Mike said, man. And I think that's where his focus needs to be, where he's the overseer of the entire organization's all the coaches, as far as making sure the offense is running well, the defense is running well, and special teams. He can go into those different rooms and not just focus solely on the defense this year.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I really think he just needs to turn it over. I mean, watching him on the sidelines, having to do all that stuff, he looked like at times that he was getting frustrated, like I don't know, frustrated, but he was getting like you could see it in his face, like he like, oh shit, I don't know what to do here,
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed. There you go. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Now you just sit back. You sit back. Let your guys do what you're paying them the big bucks to do. I mean,
Jay Grizz wants to know. Hey, he wants to know, Nomad, when's the barbecue at your house for the Domaniacs? It's great for team continuity and chemistry. How about this? I got the perfect answer for you, Jay. How about this? Help us get to 1,000 so that we can monetize. And fund and do the things that we've been telling you we want to do. I will absolutely put the money together and try to get these guys together. You will never, ever see me because it's part of my shtick. Part of me being me is to be somebody that you always wonder who the hell is Nomad? Who is Nomad? You're going to always wonder that, but I will absolutely put together something so that everybody can get together and you can get to know the Nomad Network team. I will absolutely put something together. But help us get to 1,000 so we can monetize. We got Senior Bowl that we need to try to fundraise and get to, and we need to get the funds together to do that. We got to, man. We need to put people at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. It's all the stuff is coming up fast, and we just need support. And so I will absolutely fund that. I will absolutely fund that in a heartbeat.
He wants that barbecue, man. Some of that barbecue. You do squirrel, don't you?
Possum.
Possum? Oh, I know you make a mean barbecue possum.
Yeah.
Keep him grinning.
Yeah, man. That's Chris is right, man. We're gonna be putting out more content as we said that we was gonna do. We're gonna hold up to that promise. We got tomorrow's shows coming up. Is gonna be D tackles. So you got your 1 techniques and your 3 techniques, and who do we think are the best fits for the Bears, man? And tonight we're gonna probably get together and try to finalize this list and come together about what we're gonna present to you guys tomorrow. And so that's going to be at 8 p.m. Central tomorrow night. Hopefully, Mike will come back with us and we'll enjoy all this football stuff together in these D tackles, man. I love the 4-3 defense because I was a part of it in 2 parts of my life, in my high school career and my college career. So I know this stuff, and I know that's the engine. I know it's the engine of a 4-3 based defense. You got to get that right, and you can't ever stop drafting defensive tackles. There are always going to be defensive tackles drafted every year. There's always going to be corners drafted. I tell you that for certain. Every season in a 4-3 based defense, you got to keep them coming. And so tomorrow's going to be a pretty good show. It's some straight up DAWGs that we got marked up for this show tomorrow. So don't miss out on that. Make sure you show up for that show. But we're gonna get out of here with some last words, man. Samuel, how you feeling, man?
All good. Appreciate everybody for popping in. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. Thanks, Mike. Did your thing. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. I appreciate you having me on the show tonight. I mean, it was fun for my first time on this, so I'd be more than happy to jump on once in a while and talk Bears and everything. So
appreciate you. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, I was just going to say, tell Coach Mike. We're just going to go with Coach Mike, okay?
There you go.
Is that okay?
You might as well change it up, man.
Yeah, you might as well change it because we're there already. But I did want to tell you thanks so much for coming joining us. You're now part of the Nomad family, so we appreciate you. And speaking for Nomad and other guys, I know you are always welcome. So make it soon. You come back and get with us, okay?
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Coach Mike, great job, man. For a first timer, man, we got lucky 2 times in a row, man. We had Miss Allison that came on the other day, and it was her first time ever doing a podcast, and she was nervous as hell, going into the show, but she got it together, and she was excellent, and she will be back on sometime real soon. Hopefully, Friday night. We'll talk to her and see, man. But man, you did a great job, man, for somebody doing his first podcast and being willing and open and being receptive to us to actually come out here and do it. I think was wonderful, man. And you did an amazing job, man. And here's the thing. It's only going to get better the more and more comfortable you get, the more and more, especially when you start getting prepared for whatever the subject matter is, you're going to get more and more comfortable. And after you watch, I guarantee you'll watch this show, and I guarantee you're going to be overly critical of yourself. Like, I wish you're going to find stuff that you wish you'd have looked better, said better, or whatever it was. But don't be hard on yourself, man, because it's just, if you keep cracking at it, you're just going to eventually get better. It's just reps, man. That's all it is. You're a coach. You know what that means, man. So I'll just say this to you again, man. Great job. And just keep on coming and keep on cracking at it and get those reps in. And you're going to be amazed at the outcome, man. I promise you.
I appreciate it.
No problem, man. So with that being said, man, I love you guys with all my heart. Just be nice to people out here. Just be generous, man. And I'll just leave you guys with these famous words. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace.